So for this Band of Gypsies style track, I've got the Revival Drive on. I got my Analog Man Sunface on. It's pretty gnarly. Jimmy used to tune down a half step or a whole step or somewhere in between. I heard that he used to tune to the amp hum, actually, which cycles lower than A440. And that's a whole nother subject with tuning. But what I did today is just to, without taking my guitar out of standard, which it's set up for, I've dropped my low E down to a D, you know. And the lick on this jam track is like, you know, kind of in the style of, it's actually kind of a cross between like, it's really like Machine Gun, but maybe a little bit of who knows. So we're working off of like the D pentatonic. And for those of you guys wondering how to work with a fuzz, first of all, make sure the fuzz is the first effect in your chain after the tuner, or just make sure it's first. Then the next thing is, when you're playing with a fuzz, you really want to be on the bridge pickup pretty much all the time. And also, it's with these traditional fuzzes, and this is kind of a hybrid, what the Analog Man does, but if it's a germanium chip or whatever it is, that's a whole nother rabbit hole for another day. But you really want to get your volume full up and be on the bridge to get the maximum impact out of it. And you can hear, you know, if I just play without the fuzz on, so it's pretty bright, right? But if you put the fuzz on and leave bridge pickup and leave the volume all the way up, you know, and it really puts some, you know, meaty low end on it. But the key is to use like a bridge pickup or the bridge neck setting if you have a guitar like this. Often with Hendrix, I feel like I hear him playing very often on the neck pickup or the bridge. I'm not sure how much he was using the middle positions. I'm sure he was, but he was a wizard. So it's hard to figure out exactly what he was doing. But we're just going to keep this on one chord. It's just that D riff, just cycling. Just like on the Band of Gypsies record, it's like very modal, you know, just one chord over and over again and developing ideas over it. And I'm going to play some signature Hendrix licks from that era, and I'm also then going to try to mix in some of my own things, and then we'll wrap it up and figure out what it is that I did. this is one that's really close to my heart. Obviously, I think probably Jimi Hendrix is the most imitated electric guitarist in history. He has to be. So, when approaching this course, when I was asked by TrueFire to do, 6 of my guitar heroes, I mean, the first thought out of, that popped in my mind was Jimmy, and then the next thought was, what the hell are you going to say or do that hasn't been done with Jimi Hendrix? And I'm sure that this has been done and taught many times, but I just wanted to explore specifically this style that he was getting into on Band of Gypsies. Now, in Band of Gypsies, the particular concert live at the Fillmore East in New York City, it was done during New Year's Eve in '69, going into '70. And, what's really famous about this Jimi Hendrix performance that I'm so inspired by is that it was the first time that he stood in one spot and played. And he didn't do any playing behind his head or burning his guitar or any of those amazing, innovative kind of performance art things he did that were so shocking and profound. He didn't do any of that. So this was a period when he was very centered on the music and conjuring things in the music. So technically, we've already covered what's going on with the effects. And, Jimmy was playing through a Marshall, might have been a 100-watt by that time, Plexi, I imagine, 50 or 100-watt full stacks. So my man was peeling the paint off the back walls of the Fillmore. The stuff I'm kind of pulling from is really from his Band of Gypsies era of playing is the blues scale. And I'm kind of avoiding the 6th string except for open notes because I tuned it down, but sometimes he'd get in there. But some of these signature licks, like you should really learn like the riffs on these songs, like so that's really using, the blues. You got the flat 5 in there and stuff. Another one is like Machine Gun has a couple great riffs, the I messed that one up, but so that's, all those riffs that are part of the compositions are kind of the basis for the improvising. This is a classic with every great improviser. Now, one of the first things I was doing was just doing this. He has this really cool bend that he used to do, one of his signature bends where you bend up. It's almost like a pedal steel when you do it like this, but when you get the fuzz in there, so that's pretty cool. And then the overbends, which, who knows, maybe he was doing it with the whammy bar. I mean, I don't have a whammy bar on this thing, but I don't. And then doing the same thing on the first string. So that stuff's like the pull-offs. And then the other lick I was doing. These things, these thirds. And then he did a lot of these, and this is kind of hard to do without really cranking the amp, but that one note on Machine Gun that he just holds out, it just goes and goes and goes, and you could tell he was standing in the perfect spot on stage with the amp at the perfect volume to get that note to just carry out forever. But as the note, famous note, like up. And he just holds it without even vibratoing it. Kind of hard to recreate in the studio, but. Then there's all those pull-offs. You'll hear Clapton does that one a lot, but. And then Hendrix would speed that up. Another thing you can do is take that double stop bend thing. You can move it up a whole step. Now another lick that I've always had a challenge imitating with Jimi is like he has a way of doing the reverse bend thing. You know, a reverse bend is when you bend up and then pick. Sometimes he gets into this thing where it's like. That's very hard to do. If I played it in the context of a lick, it's a pretty interesting lick. Then, you know, everything else is kind of like moving around the neck. I was doing a lot of bent octaves. And you can do those in scales. That's like, you know, Jimi's solo on All Along the Watchtower, you know, famously kind of ends with that, where it's like. So that's like. It ends up here in the pentatonic. And, you know, then in terms of like how I was kind of spontaneously wrapping it up, you know, doesn't get much more Hendrix than that. It's really cool to do this tuning the E down to a D and getting that kind of pedal tone sound. One of the signature licks that I want to show you is on Band of Gypsys era. He would cycle that kind of blues lick in a really interesting kind of polyrhythmic way. So you got the hammer from the minor to the major third. And then you get the root and the dominant seven. It's really hard to do. So if you come out of traditional. So that's kind of an overview of what that style is, and you know, it's a hell of a lot of fun, man. I mean, this is, you know, this style of guitar playing is like, for me, it's the penultimate of what the electric guitar can do. You know, it's something we can argue about and go on and on about everybody that came after him, but I just, after Jimi, I don't see anyone taking it any further. You know, maybe a couple people got a chance to kind of try to match him. You know, Prince, Eddie Van Halen, they certainly got their swipes in. Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, there's some people who got some beautiful things done, some innovative things, but there's no one who had the set of skills that Jimi had. There's just never been one like him, and there never will be again. And you know, it was fun today to just explore this one record and this brief part of his career. But I really feel like Band of Gypsys was really his album for musicians. And I mean, as I said earlier in the setup, I mean, it completely changed Miles Davis's musical life. And hats off to Jimi for changing our lives so many times over. And it's been a real honor and a pleasure to pay tribute to him today, however I can. And I hope you guys have some fun with it and enjoy it. A 3-year career that will be an embarrassment of riches probably for the rest of humanity in terms of recorded music now.